10:58. Rick, come on up.
The only thing that I have is on the docket is that AOC,
The wages.
yeah, Oasis, that basically you guys read it, that they're having to come in more compliance with their funding, and so they've been working on this through the summer.
They being,
The Oasis and AOC, I guess, are two different.
But it's an affiliate of.
Yeah, it's affiliate organization. So anyway, they're just wanting, the chair commissioner of each county to sign the new resolution that they have there. And we did send one to Mr. Bailey to be, tomorrow, I guess.
Well, my question is, Rick, and it's all what they have to do, but is this, where we send those certain dollars, that's not part of dues to AOC, that's forest highways or what, federal highway, I can't remember what it's called, but we pay a separate amount
SCP funds comes out of there, I think.
each
that
year.
supports cyber system.
But when we pay our dues, there's a separate amount. Dan, help me out here, you and I talked about it. And we wondered if that was gonna continue to go on, and originally it started to help try to continue with the safety net dollars, if I'm not mistaken, years ago. And it's just every year we keep.
Are you
paying.
talking about the national force?
Yeah. Is that not, yeah, is that anything to do with this, Rick?
I don't think so.
Because they have to do this to keep their funds separate, and I just wondered if that dues amount we're paying is, I just don't want the county to be locked into paying that dues forever if we're not gonna be getting any safety net. Or if they're not doing work towards the safety net. I might be mixing two things together here, Rick.
Yeah, I don't think
Dan.
it's the same as a school coalition, with Rocky and that bunch, but, I think it was just their budget, and we can get this, more definition on this. I wasn't sure, that's why I sent it to you guys. I asked Emily to make a short deal, you guys got all my emails.
Yeah,
I haven't been following it, every month. And, so anyway, I had some idea that, then I wanted Emily to really kind of make it simple, and she never really, she just said to be in compliance with the state, they did a OR, was it 98, that tells them that they could be in control of funds and their budget.
Have they said along those lines, and I looked for Emily yesterday, she must have taken a holiday off, she was the only.
Did you ask her a question?
No, I looked for her, she wasn't at our AOC meetings,
Oh, okay.
just to ask her about this, but, because it reads like if there's only 10, it has to have 10 members, and if there's only 10, whatever the total budget is, it looks like it's just gonna be divided up equally. It would be good to get her to actually answer that, to get some sense of what kind of financial commitment you're gonna be making.
Yeah,
by signing
and you
on.
have her information there in Rod.
No, I never printed it off, Rick.
I have it. Denise will make some copies.
Are you talking emails? I can give you a copy of mine, right?
You got it right there.
And I didn't even take a sideways on that, I'm sure it's something we need to do, I just wanted to make sure that it didn't commit us for,
Call her and put her on speakerphone right here.
Yeah.
You wanna call her, see if I can get her?
I do believe what Commissioner Miller said.
And the way I read that, it's not that every county had to sign it either.
No, it's only 10 parties.
10. So, I mean, we can, however you guys wanna do on it, I mean, you can be neutral on it, or, cause.
well, I mean, let's say that we didn't sign up, what benefits would we not get by it not being I mean, it doesn't make sense. It seems like it'd be all in, or whatever ones we're in, would have a benefit for being in there, not just a cost.
Well, I don't know what your schedule is like today, but I can sure, get back to her this afternoon and get some more information to you guys by
It's on
tomorrow.
the agenda tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can get the information.
Let's do that, Rick.
And really just get to the bottom of it to see what the advantage would be to assign a disadvantage and what funds are you talking about. I'll just,
And one of the questions with that is, of what we're currently paying for any kind of dues or membership, is that gonna be reduced to some?
well, I just paid mine last week and it was increased.
Well, I mean,
On the
going
ALC.
forward, is it gonna be reduced to reflect that to get in compliance, you have to pay specifically to this as a member county versus the other monies you're already paying in for what was being done under this Oasis organization? She should be.
Commissioner, I've been sitting in here for 2 hours this morning and I've been brainwashed that nothing goes down, everything goes up.
Everything goes up, that's right.
So,
Well, I don't doubt that the dues don't go up, but are we getting this, if we have to pay 10,000, if we're one of 10 counties and we have to pay 10,000, is that gonna come out of what you've already paid? That would be my question to Emily, is, you know, is this just gonna be an additional cost, in addition to what we're already paying?
okay, I can get a little better information. I didn't have a chance to talk to any of you guys before, and I probably should have to see where you guys were on it. I was out of town Thursday and Friday too. Then I've been chasing the planning commission with all
Well,
the meetings.
reading this, I think the appropriate call would probably be to Bob that, because it's a form and a nonprofit, I guess, 190, or it's 190. And reading this, that's sort of where Emily leaves. I mean, you might have to call them both, Rick, is what.
Well, I sent Jim Bailey, the same as you guys, and I got a quick response from him that he was not there. On one of those return emails that he wasn't available. That's Friday, I think is when I sent it to everybody. So,
I haven't had
it'd be
time
good for Jim
to weigh in tomorrow.
I'll check with him this afternoon, see if he had a chance to check with Rob and get his take of it too. All right, I'll get back and check that out.
Okay. I read this now after Dan mentioned that. I never caught it the first time. The apportionment of dues shall be determined by the Oasis membership. Now, the Oasis, that's our Irish system, and everything is all governed through Oasis. Is that what you said?
Yeah, but most of that is paid, from STIP. They take a chunk out of our STP funds off the top, and then it goes to the counties. So a high percentage of your Irish system and Emily and all those people that's in the Oasis is paid through our STP funds. That's taken away from, on a formula from all the counties.
Reading here, there's two things that are good to not make the cost go up. It says shall not have personnel and shall not hold title to real property. So it's not like that we'd see dues go up for capacity, for personnel and everything.
All right, well, I can do that. So that's all I had.
I haven't had a chance to study it at all, so maybe tomorrow a little more clarification.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. You gotta do today.
I've got an appointment at 11:30, so I better get.
It's good.
Go for it.
See you, Rick.
All right, thanks.
Well, Rick, sorry, did you need to have any discussion about the meeting tonight or anything from the board on?
Tonight?
You got the planning meeting tonight, did you need any information from us? You have two different ones you'll be looking at there, the Red Rock and then also So is it not Soda Springs, it's, what's the name of the road?
Thousand Springs.
Thousand Springs, yeah.
They're probably gonna be, of course, Red Rock is, I talked to Darwin, and it's gonna be postponed as quick as they open it to get further information. The only concern I have is, you know, the roads, which is gonna come later, the road issues down there. But I guess they're not gonna even, there'll probably be a lot of people there, but they're gonna be kinda disappointed to hear, cause I guess they're gonna open it and then close it for, table
Continue
it
it.
for more information.
Hmm.
Thousand Springs will be interesting, but I probably at this time wouldn't have nothing for you until after I have information from that meeting. There is the road that goes out there to this balling plant that he wants to put in. Is he working with you on that, maybe?
No, hasn't had any conversation with me.
You know that that road is in bad shape, and then you hit the sand dunes, which we've been trying to realign, and he's now not wanting to realign it. I've been trying to get Todd Forbes up there and meet at the sand dunes before we go to the road advisory, because Rick's gonna be at the road advisory, we know that. He's gonna say, well, how come you haven't did anything? So I'm trying to get up there with Todd as quick as I can, because it's been waiting on them to get information on it. They haven't given NEPA, and they haven't given okay of anything on that road.
So Rick, that's the crux of it, isn't it? For us to have any discussion on anything we might entertain doing, first we have to have approval to go on that land base.
Right.
There's a lot of questions in the application.
Right, and of course you got the letter that I forwarded
Yeah.
you guys, and they will be there tonight too, cause I asked them, cause I'm hoping they never thought we was gonna represent them, you know. And so, the question I'll have, you know, cause we have no idea how many when it gets fully going, how many truckloads are gonna be coming out of there, what kind of traffic. But I do have on Google Earth, 1.8 miles shown, that's not a good piece of road, it has no base in it, you know. Somewhere, if he makes production, and it's only gonna be in the winter time when it gets, the thaw goes out and the rain comes. It's gonna be a couple months, it's gonna be tough going. Through road advisory or something, we're gonna have to go put some rock on there, put some base, cause is one of the issues that road probably wouldn't hold that many big trucks coming out, you know. If he's wanting, I don't know how big the water trucks are they're gonna be 2,000 or.
Asking for a business plan.
He has had it in there. Did you see it? It was pretty rough. Pretty rough.
Right.
That's why you're asking. Yeah, it wasn't too good. Are you gonna be there tonight? Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I brought all the concerns up to Darwin already. So, and I'll come tonight too and talk about the road if that's, you know.
Well, hopefully that'll all be part of the planning commission's discussions, that they'll ask all those questions.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything until I'm asked about it. You know,
Well,
I
just-
will come and say it.
In general, I mean, any type of business, when you're getting access to a main haul route, that's part of the approval process.
Then they're putting a hot dog stand in Fort Rock, and that's not really gonna affect our roads any. Hot dog trailer, and then I got approached on the Dog Lake Road that I'm not really sure where he wants to come off, but it's pretty steep bank, we're another parcel up there. So we'll have to, I'd like to see where that goes tonight. So I guess we'll hear what they have to say tonight, and then I'm sure somewhere down the road, you guys are gonna be involved in Thousand Springs. If you, one way or the other. Yeah.
We'll probably hear about it during road advisory, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay,
About a month out. Okay, thanks, Rick.
thank you.
The solar field request process.
Do you wanna go to dates first,
They,
since that's just board discussion?
yeah, they,
That's the remodel.
remodeling of what?
I'm on the courthouse now, so they're material list together off the plans that we had. I sent it out to 4 suppliers, Proville, Diamonds, Home Depot and Lowe's. 2 were responsive out of the bid, 2 weren't, 2 were non-responsive of what our material list that we put out to them. I want to request, well, I'll give you the bids. The bids come in, Proville come in at $19,943.74. And these are the 2 that were responsive. Diamond was responsive, but they come in at $27,127.89. And then the 2 that were non-responsive was Home Depot, which they come in at $16,180.55. Those come in at $16,976.16. We did do a Pacific Line, we did go out for a bid just for doors, just to see what they would do. And these 4, the 4 that I went to, that does include the doors in the bid. But I wanted to go out to Pacific Pine here for our local door dealer, and they come in at right at $11,712. Well, all these other 4 bids, it was around $9,000 for the doors. So that was the bid on that. Home Depot, they didn't come, they were non-responsive as far as giving us a full request for insulation. They gave us half of what we had asked for. And like I said, I gave all 4 of these the same bid. They looked at the same thing, all 4 of them looked at the same thing. And then Lowe's, when they put the bid together, they didn't put the door hardware into the bid like the other 2 did. So, this being said, I'd like to go through ProBuild at $19,945, and they gave us everything we asked for in the material list and what we were asking.
And as you just got through saying, I think, and that's inclusive of the doors.
That's inclusive of the doors. That's a total bid of all the material we need to.
So what we probably should have to make the decision tomorrow is all that, so it's a record, everybody has the quotes and everything, so that a record has those. And
So you want to print of all bids?
yeah, we usually have a sheet of everybody. And I just for the record, you also asked True Value, which wasn't able to put together a bid.
Yes.
We've done everybody that we could here locally.
Yes, True Value, Dan said right now he's not set up to be able to give us stuff like that.
Who was not?
True Value. Dan, True Value.
So yeah, the list of the quotes, and then Denise puts those in the record.
Okay.
Get that to us tomorrow, we add that to tomorrow's list. Anything else?
I don't have any, you guys up? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's talk down to the book application.
Which one?
Book application.
Oh, this is more update than anything. They probably have not approved of a grant we're putting together. Our Wolf Committee, this sort of covers liaison at the same time, came together real well. Everybody is working well together. We had our meeting. Thank you to Denise. She keeps, we're not calling them minutes, we're calling them, what are we calling them? Notes of the meetings, and that way we have records. She's keeping notes. She's put together the grant. All the members have been emailed the grant, reviewed it. It's for our first setup. It's pretty generic. We're going to use quite a few of the dollars are going to go towards non-lethal ways, trying to deter the wolves from being here. Looking here, we put $16,000 in there, and the explanation of that $16,000. Denise probably in there someplace. The breakdown is $2,000 to education, $4,000 for bone piles to reduce for them to be attracted to some of the ranchers' place. $8,000 is for call them range raiders, which isn't really the right term. It can be anybody out there, to deter the animals or the wolves from being there. Another $2,000 was for equipment, library, and for the collared animals, there's an electronic box that if they get within so many feet of this electronic box, it will deter them through their collar. We do have a confirmed wolf here that's not collared. We do believe that, Foz believes that it will be, won't be very long, we will have what's considered a pack, because these should be a breeding pair, it's looking like, so. Just to let you guys know, that's where the amounts came to, and I'm really impressed with everybody that's on the committee. Once again, thank you to Denise and to the board for letting Denise help me get this going.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
So this been submitted?
It will be after today.
After you say so, yes. It's
What
due by the
is-
22nd, so.
Input if you guys had any questions or anything before we submitted it or anything.
No.
I didn't figure you would, but it's the right thing to let you guys know.
The committee all came up
Absolutely, yeah.
and
And-
second guess them.
And the committee, I tell you guys, they engage, when we leave the meeting, they check on, they double check things, it's formed a very good committee.
Good, excellent.
Sounds good.
I think concurrence.
Yeah, I concur.
Back to the solar PIP request.
So, I kind of came to each of you and asked, for a process on how you wanted me to move forward as, solar tilt request from me. As you know, the state legislature approved the PILT for solar projects a few months ago. This is the second one that we have received. We have received one more. And I'm just not sure what avenue it needs to go through, if it's gonna go through our planning, or if it's gonna go through economic development, if it's gonna go through enterprise zone. I just need to know where I'm supposed to be shuffling this
Now,
stuff to.
this payment in lieu of taxes, that's, normally it would have gone through the enterprise system, and we would have deferred taxes and depending on whatever amount, we could have a community service fee, but typically not for solar. So it's basically in lieu of tax deferred.
Well, whenever we approved two of these already, I just, hate to use the word assume, but I assume that it would still go through our enterprise zone manager, which is Go-Ed Betty. And I think it still should, because if we say, no, we don't accept this payment in lieu of taxes, their other option is either a 3-year enterprise zone in the funding that, or the reduced in taxes, or the 5-year. So they still have to be involved, in my thoughts. If that's not the case, then we're gonna have to designate somebody here that, and I think everybody's gonna be looking at, wanting to get this 20-year reduction. We're gonna have to designate somebody here, because this one here bounced from Denise to Darwin. Betty said, no, it's not me. And we have to say, this is where it's gonna be, this is where it's going to go through, so that when it comes to us as a board, we're here and somebody's gonna promote either pro or con, basically, maybe why we should consider it, you know? I don't know that they necessarily have to promote pro or con, they have to give us
The basis of
Yeah.
alternatives.
yeah. So, and Denise, that's the reason why you brought it before the board today, is so that we can make a decision as a board of who's gonna carry them forward.
And like I said, I do have one that is just kind of hanging, but I don't know how to respond to
That's the
people, so,
party out of Florida.
correct.
When the first two came, Betty came and presented them to us, if I remember right. At least she talked about it. She came in and,
From the city?
yeah, the two that we approved.
Mr. Gregory was here,
We-
and I think
We
Betty
approved
was
three, I'm
talking
sorry,
to-
I stand corrected, there's three, there's one larger project and two smaller ones. You weren't at the meeting, I don't think Dan and I approved it, so, or maybe you were, I can't.
No. Oh,
And she might not have been at that meeting, but she had been at the one previous,
Yeah.
prior to that,
Yeah.
saying,
well, so what I hear you saying is we need somebody that come to us and say, I've looked at going to enterprise zone, active work, 3 years, whatever, and these are benefits. We'll go with the 7,000 a year, and this is the benefits.
well, I think everybody's gonna go for the 20-year, but they need to go to the person that says, this is what the county options are. If they don't go for the 20-year, you can still get the 3-year, you can still possibly get the 5-year. Because there may be projects that come forward to the board that we say, I don't support a 20-year, $7,000 per megawatt project. Each one's gonna come before us individually,
So
The
we just need
legislation.
somebody to go through the math
well,
of the two alternatives.
And to work with,
with the
The applicant.
developers.
yeah.
Yep.
So why wouldn't we just go ahead and have our enterprise zone manager?
That's where I'm at.
And all of them just follow through our enterprise zone manager?
It fits to me, I mean,
Well, it's consistent.
Well, it's just it backs out of the same page, use that analogy. Basically to look at the pros and cons of the two alternatives and advise us.
so we need to give direction as a board of where we want them to come through before they come to us, the contact person. So when they call Darwin or they call Denise, is okay for this enterprise zone, or I don't know what this new one's called.
Well-
They direct the call to the right person.
Everybody's overloaded. I know Betty is extremely overloaded. You have a hand up?
Yeah, my question is, it got bounced around and then it ended up on me, and we're all trying to figure out where it's supposed to be. Have any, and I know I haven't done this, any conversation with Betty about why she might have bounced it back?
She just thought it went to planning or the assessor. She
And
didn't
this is very
specify.
similar to the other ones? Oh, interesting, okay. So if it is helpful, I don't mind having a conversation with her, or if that's appropriate or inappropriate, I don't know. But I can find out why she might have bounced it, and let her know that it would be more appropriate for her to be involved in it. I mean,
And she can delegate it back down to you.
right,
Well, we've designated her as our enterprise zone manager, correct?
And this is similar to enterprise, but in lieu of,
Well, if we deny it,
it goes back to enterprise.
yeah, so the people should be working with the person that would manage all that. If we want to change enterprise zone manager, or if Betty did to here was Ginger, I mean, but I think you ought to have a discussion with Betty, I mean, as
we can talk to her,
No.
we'll find out.
This one from Florida, they are saying urgency.
They haven't said urgency, but it has been 3 weeks since they're,
We need to be responsible.
Can the discussion be had with Betty sometime today before tomorrow's meeting?
Yes.
And get it done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where I like to go.
Commissioner?
we don't have anything on for tomorrow, but
yeah, I didn't put
So what?
anything up for decision.
no decision on this one
It
tomorrow.
was just discussion.
This is just for discussion to find out the process. They haven't requested it yet, correct?
Well,
Correct.
but we're gonna get more requests as we move along, particularly
Oh.
depending on what the legislature does, because we were empowered, but can we have more discussion on it tomorrow after Commissioner Kessler's had a chance, and Ginger had a chance to talk to Betty?
And yes,
resolve at least where we can
Intake
have
meeting.
so that
information
people,
flow.
people know where to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
send their stuff.
okay.
And then it's a case of, does it require two signatures, one of the county and one of the assessors as the standard enterprise zone? It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't show signature, it just shows Lake County. It doesn't show an assessor signature.
And that wasn't a hearing that we done, it was just a board decision, if I remember right. Do you remember, Commissioner? Whenever they requested that, it wasn't a hearing.
I don't
I
recall
don't
that.
think. I mean, it's ever changing, this
Yeah.
whole thing is, and I think if things happen
Well,
across our nation and our state, we're gonna see more and more.
once upon a time, when Phil was here in Israel, during some of our very first solar, deferred the 3 and the 5 year enterprise things, he said it was a assessor's decision. And it was being brought to us for informational. And we've evolved from there to where we're at.
Well, there's been change in legislation
Oh,
too.
well, there's change in legislation around, yeah, the ability to just go with a flat 7,000 a megawatt for 20 years. But I think we can answer a lot of it between today and tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, we just need the structure of how it's gonna get to us.
So add it for tomorrow for.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the assessors always have, when it has to do with tax, they have to sign off on it, it's been a standard protocol for enterprise zone. But also it took a county commissioner's signature at the same time. It's a, assessor had heavier ink. Next one. Let's do the EOCCO members. This is the membership to the EOCCO's Community Advisory Committee. We've appointed many folks over the years to that. It's a requirement by law. Over the years, combined with the CHIP program, so we've had the CHIP and the CACC program working together. And kind of John Adams, I think, kind of got him on that. He's gone, got Garnet in there now. And we had some of our membership have kind of gone away, and she's been actively recruiting to replace some. So she had 4 members that desire to be on that CCO's Community Advisory Committee that works with the CHIP program. Mary sent this out to me a week and a half ago, but I've been behind on my emails.
I show there's 5. Do you want me to read their names?
Sure.
Darwin Johnson, Melinda Bentley, Beth Hadley, Dolores Cho Caffrey, and Noni Moss.
I'm pushing my whole brain. Is this a county committee?
Yeah,
And this just replacing people that haven't been
and
added?
anybody else that is out of the
So you have this for action today, I don't see it on tomorrow, if you wanted to get this taken care of today,
It don't have to happen today, we have it tomorrow.
We can add it.
Have it tomorrow.
or we can just do it over.
I suggest we just do it now.
Yeah, we can do it now.
I'll make that motion, or unless Commissioner Kessler wants to, that we appoint Darwin Johnson, Melinda Bentley, Beth Hadley, Dolores Joe Caffrey, and Noni Moss.
Second.
Motion been made and second, accept those 5, discussion. Just for one little discussion, there's one, that Melinda Bentley, she's with Advantage Dental. She's out of Prineville, so she's not really a county employee, but we've always had Advantage person sit in on the committee because dental is a big issue. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Can I get an updated list of those numbers? So that I can update ours?
Just replace the whole
Yes.
committee, now you have to.
Everybody's voting for me.
Too much.
John Adams was the keeper of all that. I would have to see if Myrna is on top of it.
If I can get it, that would be great. Or give me her contact info, I don't know.
I'll give you the contact. And then we have to send it on to the CCO for their final approval. The broadband is mostly an update, but there's one little point. of consensus or not on the broadband at the conference was excellent. Conference on broadband. Had a lot of information. But at the end of that conference, the director of telecommunications for the USDA and some of his local folks, we toured them around the county, showing our deficit areas and our areas of deficits. And I think that's very beneficial because they're gonna be working really, we spent a whole day with them and we got a commitment with them to work with us specifically with Lake County. Now the part comes about, there was a discussion that I wasn't really privy to because I was at the far end of the table. But Charlie Twait was engaged with Joe Bradley, he's our field rep of USDA for Eastern Oregon. He's out of Ontario area. The thing is, if you get CenturyLink or a local TNet internet service providers to cover an area, there's grants that help them do that. But there's going to be some areas that just is not economically feasible for a private provider to cover because of the amount of equipment, low population, distance, things of that nature. So a subject brought up by Joe Bradley and the director was for these areas that most likely will not be covered by a private provider because the three counties, Lake, Arnie, by here, because down in the southern end of the other two little towns like Rome, little ranch out in the middle of no place, outside like Yarmouth, even possibly Warren Valley, still working on that with private provider. But for these very high cost, unlikely areas to be covered by a private provider, the three counties want to investigate some avenue, maybe a cooperative amongst us, to look at what does it take to get internet service out to those individuals. And we talked with Malheur County, they have some desperate needs, and they would like to kind of work together. Hardin County wasn't able to phone in on the call because that was the militia.
Yeah, they were busy.
They were busy. But just to bounce it off, we don't, there's no plan, it's just, we want to look at developing options that working together. But one of that option would be contracting a consultant that knows the system, because any one of us don't know what it takes. So just bounce it off instead of entertaining an idea to you.
Yeah, I'd like to see
Yeah.
the coverage happen, but I'll ask you, Commissioner, if the folks from DC, were there folks from DC there?
Yes.
Okay.
The director of
So,
telecommunications.
This whole initiative by the President and Congress to get broadband across the nation to all the rural areas, are they truly engaged other than just suggesting things?
Okay, I'll answer that in two parts.
Okay,
USDA is very committed. Trying to say, get my thoughts so I don't undermine the second thought. But like the FCC, Federal Communication Commission, being given a lot of dollars to get broadband out to your rural areas. They are looking at the incumbent providers like CenturyLink, Frontier, some of the companies that have been traditionally in the telephone business, and Mark's and they've been given a lot of money to beef up, retool to provide out to the rural. Just using an example, I appreciate the folks at the conference from CenturyLink and Frontier and those honest. CenturyLink example, they covered our area, but for the state of Oregon, they've been given a target of 41,738 hookups across the state, not Lake County. That could be residence or business or whatever. And they have a year or so to kind of get their business plan moved to or how they're gonna do it. Then the next year, they have to meet 40% of that 41,000. And next year, 60%. Next year, 80%, and then 100%. So next year, 6 or 7 years out, they had to meet 41,738 hookups. And this is where I give them credit for being honest. They're gonna go after areas that are the easiest and the most beneficial return. Larger population, less equipment. And this is where I'll give them credit. The hard to reach, low money return, low profit return, if there is a profit, would be the last thing to look at. But if they meet their 41,738, they don't have an obligation to meet those out there. That doesn't mean it won't, but it's not their priority. Their priority is the benchmarks, can't do that project.
So being truthfully naive on the broadband and all this, and then I hear the sheriff and the road department talk about narrowband on the radios and talk about going digital. Is in the world of broadband you're talking, will it ever go digital, or is it something that's here to stay?
Internet will change in 5 years, it will change in 10 years, it will change in 15 years. Rapid change in that arena. Now, on the topic, there's a big push by the agencies, FCC, USDA, even EPA is getting into the business. There's a big emphasis for agencies, federal agencies, I'm talking about the Land Management, Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife Service at this time, also inclusive, to work together. If one company has a repeater tower out there, why would another provider have to set up their own limited dovetail? Cooperation is the big emphasis. It's up to us to make sure that all the agencies fulfill that. Because let's say we went in some way to get broadband out to ranch families such and such, 35 miles out, that we know a private provider is not going, can't make a return. It's in a red. If we come up with something and one of the agencies got some structure out there that we piggyback on, the emphasis is to facilitate as much as possible. But the emphasis right here is, no commitment, dollars or anything, but at least look into the options of covering those far reach areas. That ranch out there with 2 little kids and parents trying to make a business something else.
So right now you're working on basically a cooperative amount here at Harmony and Lake County. And you said you guys would consider looking at a consultant to look into some of this, which would probably take a cooperative amount of dollars to reach.
It'd be cheaper for 3 to pitch in, but if we come up with that and there's a dollar amount to each county, it has to come back.
Then be proposing. Right now you're looking at that and what possible outcomes are going to benefit.
Trying to lay out a strategic plan to cover those areas. Because as far as I'm concerned, one household with 2 little kids out there without internet, well, they got satellite, but I've been on satellite. It doesn't work hard. Although they're making improvements. But it's an endeavor to look at, and then bring, as each step is addressed, we bring it back to discussion.
Okay.
Get to that.
Ladies on that, please. Oh, we still have, oh, no, we got that. That covers everything, right? Ladies on that, please.
Well, you heard on the Wolf Deputation Committee from me, both of you attended the governor's vision panel, transportation vision panel on Friday. Thank you guys for being there. And I knew you guys would be a part of that. Continue to work on ever challenging road issues. I I'm somewhat encouraged about a 30-year vision plan, at least it gets people talking. Will anything ever happen? I don't know, but if we try to get everything on that list, so if funding does come available, we can always go back and say, hey, you know, we've been down this road, so thank you guys for the help on that. Wanted to have a little more conversation about the railroad, and I'm talking the railroad that happened to me this morning about animal control and code enforcement and nuisance abatement. I'm encouraged about that. I'm being facetious when I say the railroad thing. I think that we do need to look at that.
So you weren't talking about the railroad?
No, just you guys railroaded me.
No.
You railroaded me into being the one to sort of pursue this, being I'm liaison to the sheriff's side. I think that I will check into this the best I can, but this is a team effort, guys. If you got ideas, thoughts, let's get them together.
Well, Commissioner, just if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump in. I said it this morning, and I think it's important, the sheriff's gotta feel real strong about this.
And that's I've already had one conversation, that's where I'll continue to go. But we, for years, this board, for years have been, we're supplying a little bit of money here or there to try to, from weed enforcement to nuisance to animal control. And whenever, and this year, our commitment on the weed has went away, unless they come in, there was no open request for that. So if sort of look at that money's there, look at what we're paying for our animal control and our sheriff's department, and I'm not sure we put any money into the planning on the nuisance, but anyways, there's a little bit out there. Get the town involved, maybe we can find some of the funding, and so no guarantees. You may see me even get something prepared closer to budget time, at least for consideration.
The emphasis is keep the ball in front of us.
Yeah, but it's going to take, as Commissioner Shalom points out there, the sheriff has to have the time and be able to be a key player, because with all of it, it has a component of law enforcement. So anyways, just thought I'd take my shot back at you guys for railroading me anyways. No, it's appropriate. So.
Well, we've been meeting long enough, and the coffee's wearing off. It's good that you explained it, because I would have known that's what you were talking about.
But maybe Denise can maybe come up with a gift for you, like a railroad cap.
We don't want to even kid about the railroad.
No.
I should, but I'm good. I'm probably forgetting some things.
I just have a suggestion. I don't know what this is worth at all, but as you were talking, I was thinking, and I don't know that I've ever seen this anywhere before, but it might be a thought, is to engage I can't think of her, is it Jeanette Wilson? That's up in Silver Lake, that's the noxious weed, or the weed person for
Forest Service.
US Forest Service. Anyway, maybe some other public entities that have something to do with some of this, and even, I know there's a couple of struggling nonprofit organizations that are working with animal rescue, so that there may be a way for everybody to help each other outside of, just the city and the county. There may be some other resources that you could pull in to help with the planning and the thought effort. And I know there's grants out there to help with this process too. I don't know exactly what they are, but I'm just saying that there may be more support there than what you're thinking initially. It's kind of hard to see it sometimes.
As I think you heard earlier, we support the thoughts of grants and everything. We have to lay this out for it to be sustainable for a long time.
Oh, I agree.
And we do have a county weed board that I will have to engage, which
Right.
is inclusive of the Forest Service.
No, I think you're really smart to not look at it as, totally grant ridden or driven or anything like that, but I'm just saying that
Start.
there may be something there that can help even with the planning part, grants to help with the planning, because it does take time and energy, and it's helpful when you've got help with that, so anyway, that's just a thought.
I'm good on liaison updates.
I had quite a lengthy conversation with Mark Haggerty, Headwaters Economics Group. They have been, it was timely with our PILT and SRS discussion. They are working on some proposals to, and they need to get county weigh-in, county commissioner weigh-in, but to work with Congress on a new and better way. Mark's gonna send me the outline, I don't have it, of funding those two programs, or we even got into the discussion, you know, as to whether or not we wanted to go with one singular fair and equitable payments to counties, schools, roads, et cetera, going forward. But anyway, I may be involved at some point in time later this week in a conference call, because he's pulling together a couple of folks from Northern California, I think Idaho. I talked to Mark Davidson and Mike MacArthur about potential people here in Oregon that might be good, and Mark, I think, is the one that will try and figure that out. But Mark Haggerty wanted to keep the group really small for the initial discussion, so more to come on that, because we all would like to have, I think, including Congress, some certainty in those programs and how to fairly treat the counties with all these public lands. What was the other things for sure I was gonna...
So, just on Phil last year, go ahead.
Well, just a lot of communication. We all talk about Red Rock, and you've been heavily involved in all of the goings on with that. We've all had different parts of it. But we were able to accommodate Jeff Mantronak, who is going to be in DC, meetings with all three of the folks who represent our area, both state or U.S. senators, as well as Congressman Walden. I got a hold of his Congressman Walden's office early last week and ended up introducing Jeff to Jennifer Sitton in the Congressman's office, and they're just via email, and then they were gonna arrange for the meeting, hopefully on the same day, hopefully at the same location, with the two senators' staffs back in DC, because Jeff's back there for a biofuel conference. And so I asked him to give us an update when the meeting's concluded, not the minute they did, but afterwards, to see what the next steps are that we can help with. But that sounded pretty positive. We've had, I think, 3 conference calls with Senator Wyden's staff on this. We've now got Adrian Devaney from Senator Merkley's office involved in those, and now we'll have Congressman Walden's. And along the same lines, Mark Davidson from Union County, our public lands chair for AOC, he's been briefed, he's been introduced to Jeff. They're gonna try and meet up later the end of the week when Mark's back there. Mark Davidson's back there. Mark's been briefed on what the biomass plant is, what it is that's being discussed, what it is they asked for, because eventually it could apply in Union County as well as many eastern Oregon counties. So keep you guys updated on that as it goes along too.
So on the
Bill, yeah.
Bill, until just this last week, I thought that it had got through Congress where that it was maybe not the amount is going to be funded, but it's permanent in there, as Bill doesn't have to be argued over every year about funding it, that it was going to be in there, whatever it was hooked to last time that it was approved. That isn't true, or maybe I misunderstood last year whenever that happened, because we was all very happy. Thank God, now we're not going to have to worry about them fighting over that every year. So that's not true.
Well, by the agreements back in the 70s, Commissioner Winters, that was agreed upon, but it is always an appropriation issue as to whether or not they're going to fund it or fund it fully. And I'll just be honest with you, as much as I've tracked on that, I don't know, when Ann asked me the other day, I knew that they did a 2-year reauthorization, but that included last year and the payment we get in June. Because all these fiscal years, things get confused. I do believe Congress has agreed that they have that obligation, but it is still a year-to-year or every 2-year budget appropriations process as to what level they're gonna fund it at. There is nothing that they've agreed that says they're gonna fund it each and every year at 100% of the current formula.
Well, we for years kept it at 650,000 mark. This year we went up to 950,000, what we agreed to.
No, I think we agreed on 750.
Was it 750
Yeah,
or whatever?
I think. But yeah,
Yeah, so just concerns, just trying to educate myself as much as I can.
well, if they'll ever agree that they're gonna fund it ahead of time, or before we're doing our budgets at 100%, it's just like this year, you think, they've already agreed that they're going to, but it's for this budget year we're in. They haven't agreed on anything for next year.
800,000.
Okay.
So that's,
But that would be good to resolve, and in that discussion, when Mark Haggerty and I were talking about it, we started going through the numbers, because there's counties out there, because there's caps on prior year payment, there's caps on population. Until, when you start to dig into it, and I don't pretend to be an expert in it, there's only supposedly one, and he's about to retire if he hasn't already in DC. But with that said, it's like, why don't we do away with all the artificial limitations for the land base itself and pay everybody at the per acre rate, because that's how it's finally calculated. And there's counties out there, Colorado, there's many other counties that receive like $2.40, I'll just round it, per acre. We're at 31 cents. So essentially, we would get 8 times what we're currently getting. And Mark, he brought up a really good point. Some of the land in Alaska, they've calculated the bill doing that, and it would be right at 400 million a year. So that's not gonna work universally across the, okay, I'm through. So,
Ben, Mike, you got the pill, they may lieu of taxes for the BLM management lands. You got the revenue sharing with the refuge, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. You used to have a 25% on national forest, now we got the SRS that's month, year to year. Should be just a flat across federal lands.
Well, if you could do a payment in lieu of tax, then you have the flexibility, just like O&C lands are, on the payments that they receive. You can use them for whatever you need, whether it's roads or whatever it is.
Discretion of the county.
Yeah.
yeah, this board's for at least 10 years said fair and equitable payments for the lands that are managed within our counties.
Yeah.
It can't be any better said than that. I mean, that's just the way it should be.
Okay.
But when we do get this flat fee across all federal lands and to our discretion, we need to be very thoughtful. So we won't be, if we close the money, we won't be close to sheriff departments, libraries, and everything else.
Yep. Yeah, that OMC is a perfect example of
Yep.
that, perfect. Plus the community's taxation, property tax was kept so low in those counties, they had nothing for the general fund to operate on.
Fair manager, we interviewed, well, we got about 7 very good applicants. We narrowed it down to the top 5, we interviewed those, all of them very great. It came down to be a tough decision on a couple of, because it'd be nice if it took all the good attributes of each applicant, I mean, 1 super person.
Yeah.
But can't do that. But the fair board, after a lot of discussion, offered the job to Lonnie Lindsay. Lonnie has many good traits that will help bind the county as a whole, North Lake, Paisley, as one, because he has so much relationships across. So, congratulations to Lonnie. Let me go into the NACO legislative on the steering committee for technology and communications, mainly broadband. So I'll be leaving Thursday to drive to Reno, fly Friday to DC. And fly back on the following Wednesday, and then drive back home from Reno to here on Thursday. I have a phone call with Merkley's office this afternoon about some meeting that they want me to attend with Senator Merkley. I don't have the details because you can say what else. But probably do something. Got vodka at 1 o'clock today. SB 32, the natural gas. We have the first meeting, is was just an introduction.
He seemed like a top team after.
The next meeting was scheduled for the 15th, but we have some court action here, so it wasn't able to make it. So they bumped the next meeting to the 31st. So if you hear people about bitching about it, we need to get it on, so I can hold it today. I appreciate PUC for working with me on that. So next meeting is very critical one. I'm gonna have it, that's not half, that's the meeting, but next one's gonna have a presentation by Vista. And that's a critical one I have to begin.
Yeah, I think, as we've talked, the key point is try to get that payback period extended. I mean, if we could even get it doubled at the minimum, 6 years instead of 3, I think, would help most rural places, I think.
And like I mentioned before, this committee stuff got going in discussion with PUC, I brought that subject up. And over the phone, I seem to have got a resistance, but it will be a topic.
Well, I think you can explain it out there that it is for our environment, for the health of our communities, for local, however you want to put your buzzwords on there, is that this is really important to be able to make this happen.
And we got the one county commissioner, and I was going back and forth with Martha Schrader tracking us. Turns out that we have Doug Widget in us, arena, plus myself. She has herself, plus their state rep, so it's balanced time.
There's one thing about Senator Woods, that he understands the PUC, and I don't. I don't know how much you understand that, it's pretty complex.
I'm trying to dig through and find out why that 3-year PUC is. Also, there's this senator, I think he's a senator rep, Lee Byers. He's a rep now, senator. He's on the other side of the aisle, but he used to be a PUC commissioner for quite some years, so I'm going to ask Doug to.
Sounds like you need to have a dinner that some evening with him. Or networking, however you want to call it.
We have another topic, Commissioner's travel allowance.
What are you going to do, soldier? What are you going to do,
The treasurer gave 3 potential options. You, of course, can come up with something else if you don't like any of these. We could, of course, limit travel, which it's a little hard to get business done if we're not at places we need to be. We could do a budget resolution or other travel funding sources such as mental health, airport road, other places that you gentlemen are representing when you are traveling. So there are those options. We are very,
We'll get at the bottom of the bucket.
yeah, we're getting
So,
there.
I'll be looking at the mental health, I'll look at the airport, whatever. If we need to give some thought to it, I may come up with options.
I would also ask at this point in time, since we are going into budget, you guys really be honest with what you were anticipating for travel for next year. We did increase quite a bit for this year. Needs are what they are, but I can't budget that
Well, I
without
think
knowing
that
what
is,
you guys are doing.
what you're talking about is probably the long-term and the most important solution we'll get through this year, but we do need to figure some things out about this year. But I think going forward, no one questions anybody's travel, we just need to individually know if our travel's more or less than what it was, so you can budget accordingly.
Correct.
And that's, I think, the crux.
Like I thought, safe routes are kind of going to the side when then we got appointed 3 state work groups, plus we got appointed to NACO steering committee. Unexpected.
So, and I do appreciate the thoughts of trying to go to some other departments, but they didn't budget anything extra for commissioner's travel, so I'm real reluctant to go to those departments unless they're really supportive.
Yeah, we have to look at the department and see if they got any extras.
Yeah, so, I think that we need to look and project out where we're gonna be come July 1 as far as commissioner's travel. I have a little bit of travel left, I'm the least one just because I'm not involved in saving as much as everybody else is generally, which is fine for the structure that we do, we work well together, but maybe try to, each one of us project out where we're at, and if we have to go to a resolution, then we just say we're gonna have the discussions in the public meeting. I don't know, one of the recommendations is for me to look at the road department for act, and it doesn't fit there at all for me, I'm just not gonna go there, that's primarily my travel is on but a lot of that works on state highway systems, it's not county roads or anything, so, and I don't know you on mental health, if there's anything fits there, but I'm really shy about that, guys, individually, and I don't know how you guys feel about that.
As far as going to a department, you don't want to turn their budget upside down, no.
Well, and they never budgeted to give any travel to us. Some of them may have leftover travel or some frequent travel, but I'm just cautious about making department heads uncomfortable thinking they have to find travel dollars for it.
So I will throw this out, because I'm in total agreement with what you're saying there. Within our materials and supplies line item, which is the bugaboo, it always looks like we have more money than we have, because we have $25,000 in there for our KCC contract. I would suggest we just all continue to be mindful of the travel we need to make, and whatever it is, and we don't worry about commissioner's travel, a resolution, as opposed to commissioner's materials and supplies. At the end of the year, we got 2 options, in my opinion. We either pay the KCC payment and bring money forward out of our budget. We make the KCC payment in early July for this year we're in, because we don't get billed, Denise doesn't, till the end of the year. Or we get billed and we pay it, and whatever that difference is between the $25,000 and what's truly left in materials and supplies, we do a resolution in order to make that, because we don't have a hard figure on the KCC payment. We budgeted 25, it might be 22. So that, I think for today's discussion, it was good to just be talking about, where we're at, the projections. I totally agree with you guys on let's not go to these other funds that didn't budget for it. We can suggest that administrative fees is already taken that into consideration and other things.
I'm laughing because I thought I seen some up there with a floater, I'm getting older.
It floated. I saw one too, but it was out of that window.
Was that floater I asked with 2 marks to it?
No, it wasn't, but it sure caught my attention and you seen it, so I didn't mean to take away from your.
But I think Commissioner Kestner made a good point about these committees, and that's something, I guess that's the only thing, that just being candid, I don't know how many committees you get asked to, Commissioner Winters, to sit on that you tell them, no, you don't have time or whatever. I get asked to be on a lot of committees. NACO, every year, they send the same letter that they send to all the committee reps if you put an interest thing in. Public Lands is the committee that I'm on. I was on the WIR and so on and so forth. I think it's good for any of us to individually in those interest areas and things we think will help the county to get out there and see what they have to offer, and then each of us individually will determine whether or not it's worth our time and the money that's invested, because the NACO conferences, I'm glad you're going, Commissioner Kestner, they are very expensive. I've had the cost on the county for those very expensive conferences. And in time, it's with the WIFLIC, we've got a NACO travel line item that we developed when I came before you two and asked if you supported me being on the Wildland Fire Leadership Council representing counties nationwide. There's 47 committees in NACO. There's only one committee that pays some reimbursement to the county official that sits on it, and that's the one I happen to sit on. I didn't ask that, but Chris Markman was sharing that with me the other day. So we're not gonna get any support from anybody else if we're gonna be involved in these things. But I think it's good for us to discuss them as a board whenever those kind of things come up, because quite honestly, I've turned down I don't know how many committee assignments, and I think it was the right thing to do. But part of that's being exposed to some of the stuff that they do, and it just didn't feel like it was of value. So each of us individually have to make that decision.
Well, then, I think, and I haven't got involved, you talk AOC level, you talk NACO level, that they really push to put you on to these committees, and individually, you guys that are traveling, you have to make that decision, is it going to be beneficial to everybody, and if you're gonna be able to do that, but that's the nature of both AOC and NACO, is, it seems like a lot of times commissioners are doing the work that you think that you're paying your dues for them to.
Yeah.
Not always, but, you know, but, when you're back there, Commissioner, any cold calls or any things you can set up, carry any Red Rock stuff forward to any of them, or any of the other things?
Red Rock will be on it. I'm sure.
Well, it was Amy that got a hold of you, Commissioner, because she called me last week thinking that I was going, and I told her I wasn't, but I told her you were, and so that she needed to reach out to you for any, because they were trying to, you know, Judge Grasty is meeting with the Secretary of Interior and Ag, and then they're gonna have kind of a meeting, I think, of Oregon commissioners, specifically Eastern Oregon, but all. So I'm glad you're gonna be able to be there and attend that.
If you, one of the commissioners that's been back there multiple times, latch onto their tail if you can, and get you in some of the doors. I'm not versed on all of it, I've only been back one time, but I had a great leader at the time to go with, so.
Last time I was in DC, of course, it just was the Vietnam War.
So did I when I was
And
there.
then ran and jumped up on 8 Lincoln Seed and got arrested, park ranger.
Anyway.
I won't do that again.
Judge Crowman, he was a park ranger.
You must have had a 4-foot ladder.
Maybe we better adjourn.
Anything else for the good of the order? If not, then 10 minutes after 12 adjourn.